Hello, people, and welcome to another episode of In the Mind of. My name is Homero Rios, and you know what? This is another of those episodes when we have a very special guest. And guess what? No todo va a ser en inglés. ¿Por qué? Porque vamos a hacer un pequeño experimento cultural, donde vamos a poder abarcar más de una audiencia, porque vamos a estar hablando en inglés y en español. Siéntanse libres de poner sus preguntas, observaciones, amenazas de bomba. No, digo, perdón, todo lo que sea necesario en el chat, porque esta noche, gente, tenemos a Jason Córdova, que tiene proyectos súper increíbles, Kickstart, tiene podcast, su podcast Fear of the Black Dragon, también tiene este hermoso proyecto de Brindlewood. ¿Qué les puedo decir? Es para mí un gusto presentarles a Jason Córdova. Jason, ¿cómo estás esta noche?
I am doing very well. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I hope I hold up okay with our experiment.
My gosh, don't worry. You're doing great right now. I mean, just for saying yes to this experiment, you're my hero. So okay. No worries. Hermano, estamos muy contentos de tenerte en el programa de In the Mind of, y sobre todo porque tienes un proyecto interesante y exitoso en Kickstart. ¿Por qué no comenzamos por ahí? Háblanos un poquito acerca de qué es Brindlewood. Para la gente que no conoce el proyecto, ¿qué nos puedes decir de él?
Yeah, so Brindlewood Bay is a game about a group of elderly women who investigate murder mysteries in their little quaint New England town of Brindlewood Bay. As they investigate these murder mysteries, they start to realize that there is a dark occult conspiracy that connects the mysteries, the murders that are happening. And they eventually have to face that dark conspiracy. The game is a combination of, I like to say it's Murder, She Wrote, the TV show Murder, She Wrote, combined with like cosmic horror, H.P. Lovecraft type supernatural fiction. So that's the basic idea behind Brindlewood Bay.
Absolutamente. Nosotros lo amamos. El arte, el concepto es increíble. ¿Cómo llegaste hasta él? Porque a mi percepción y como yo tengo entendido, tú justo ahora estás en Lubbock, Texas, ¿cierto? Yeah. ¿Cómo llegamos a New England? ¿Cómo llegas a este concepto de cosmic horror?
Yeah.
¿Cuál es el proceso para llegar ahí?
Well, so the game actually started, I was working on another game called The Between. And
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great
and
project.
This other game, The Between, this was like 4 years ago, I was working on it and I was running into this problem where I knew I wanted it to be a mystery game. I wanted there to be mysteries, you know?
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to do the mystery system. I could run it from my head, you know, I could GM it and I could make it a mystery game from my head, but I didn't know what that was going to look like on the paper for other people to use, you know? And so when I was developing the mystery system for the between, rather than rewrite all the stuff for the between over and over again until I got it right, I decided to make a smaller game that just did one type of mystery, murder mysteries. And so I was sort of asking people, like I think on Twitter, I was like, okay, I want to make a murder mystery game, but what should it be about? You know, and someone said, I don't think there's a Murder, She Wrote game. And I was like, okay, that's pretty good. I like that. And Murder, She Wrote takes place.
That's a good start.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I love Murder, She Wrote. That's great. And then someone else said, as a joke, they said, what about Cthulhu, She Wrote? and I was like, oh, that's it. That's my game right there. That is my game.
I just love the idea, because I just picture you like, ha, 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 that's amazing.
Writing it, yeah. Like, exactly.
Tell me more.
Right, yeah. No, but that was, gosh. But I knew that was it. I was like, that's my idea. It's set in New England because Murder, She Wrote is set in New England, you know, so it's kind of that idea of sort of playing with that. And
the folklore,
setting.
Of course, it's just a cherry. It's the cherry at the top of that project. I mean, that's great. Yeah. But what about the element of the grannies? I mean, it's like very, very distinctive.
Yeah.
How you came up from?
I think a lot of that has to do with. So I actually, for a long time, had. Just in gaming, I had kind of been thinking a lot about how we don't really play older characters, you know?
Right.
And when we do play older characters, they tend to be caricatures, or they're not like whole characters. They're like played for laughs, you know, or whatever. And so that was always something I've always kind of thought about. And it's not just in games, it's like in all of media, right? Like elderly women especially are like not treated as very serious characters usually. And so that was a lot of it. I kind of wanted a game that sort of centered characters like that, you know, because I love Golden Girls. I love all the, you know, like all the sort of little old lady cozy murder mystery shows, you know, like I love all that stuff, you know. And so that was a lot of it. Just I think it helps the game like stand out from the crowd, you know. It kind of makes it more special, you know, in a way.
Sí.
So, yeah.
Bueno, déjame arrojarte una teoría
que
yo tengo al respecto.
Okay.
Y eso es que, bueno, para los que no sepan, y si esto no es obvio, ¿verdad? También el buen Jason Córdova tiene ascendencia latina. Así que mi teoría es que quizá como latinos también tenemos como una relación muy especial con las mujeres adultas en nuestra familia.
Right, yeah.
Entonces, quiero saber si realmente mi teoría va por ahí, o a lo mejor es nada más it's a happy coincidence.
That's part of it. Yeah, I mean, that definitely influences it a lot. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Claro. Ahora, también, y creo que es importante, ¿cuál consideras que son los elementos importantes para poder tener un proyecto exitoso en Kickstarter? Porque tu proyecto es una fórmula exitosa. Pero acá la cosa es, ¿en qué momento sabes que tu proyecto va a ser exitoso? ¿En qué punto todavía estás con la incertidumbre? ¿En qué momento ya estás solamente disfrutando el éxito que se viene? ¿Cómo funciona en la mente del autor?
I think for me, if I understand the question correctly, I think for me, I think it was really important for us. We knew that this game was eventually going to go to Kickstarter. We knew that. But we also were in the middle of fulfilling another Kickstarter trophy, which is still being fulfilled, but it's at the printer now. And so we had some time. And so we had 2 years to have this game out there in the world in a small format, and so that it could build its audience, right? And so by the time, like months before we got to Kickstarter, we could already tell that people were playing Brindlewood Bay. They were loving Brindlewood Bay. It had found its fan base. It had found its followers. It had found the people who really loved it. And so we kind of knew that it was going to do to do pretty well on Kickstarter because it kind of came with a fan base, so we prepared for that, right? We sort of like prepared. Now it has totally exceeded our expectations. Like it has really, really gone in a place we did not know, but we could sense it as far as like, okay, we know this is about to, we think this is going to blow up pretty well. This feels like it feels like the right moment, to go ahead and do this. And, I am a big believer that games that get played are the games that stick around, and we like to make sure that our games get played, we're very interested in people playing a game. And we don't go to crowdfunding until we feel like the game has had enough time out in the world, Does that answer your question? I don't know if that
Absolutely. I mean,
okay,
that's very great because sometimes you don't realize the effort behind a project like this one. And of course, we have to know it's in what moment you realize that it's going to be a success or it's a risk all the time. So in that sense, it's pretty enlightening to everyone.
Well, and so the thing is like we went to Kickstarter because the game had been on sale for 2 years already in a different form. We went to Kickstarter with some money already in the bank, So we
gotcha.
We were kind of like hedging our bets a little bit, that we kind of like, even if it only did just like okay on Kickstarter, like we could still get it printed, we knew we'd be able to do that. But the success of the Kickstarter is it is allowing us to make these books into something I dreamed of, but I didn't know if we'd be able to do. And now we are. That feels really, really good. Yeah, definitely.
So what's the future for this project? I mean, right now it's a successful project, but that's it. It's a successful project. In what moment that future will become a reality for this project?
I mean, we anticipate that like once these books are done and we get these books in people's hands, and we hope to have that done by December. That is to me, that's when I'm going to feel like most satisfied with everything. Right now, while we're in the middle of the Kickstarter campaign, we have a lot of like the stretch goals that are unlocking are letting us, kind of keep looking higher and higher about what we want to do with the books. These are all things that we thought we might be able to do, that we wanted to do, and we're getting to do it. But we're staying very, very focused on the quality of the game. We're staying very, very focused on what we can deliver by Christmas. And I just feel so grateful, just very grateful to the community that they're letting us do this. I think it's really awesome.
And right now we'll feel very eager to put our hands on that book. I'm kind of edgy about that because it's an amazing project. And speaking of that, it's kind of ironic, if you allowed me, to have this kind of project which looks very fresh and very contemporary, and at the same time, Jason Córdova have this project on a podcast called Fear of a Black Dragon, right, which is probably the opposite.
To some degree, yeah.
So, ¿cómo te sales con eso?
Well, okay, so Fear of a Black Dragon, my podcast, Fear of a Black Dragon, is my co-host Tom and I. It's my Emmy winning podcast, I should say. People have really enjoyed it so far. My co-host Tom and I, every episode, we look at a module. Sometimes it's an older module, like from the 70s or 80s or 90s, right? But about half the time it's newer stuff, to be fair. So it's like a mix of older and newer stuff. But we look at it and we analyze it. We sort of analyze it like for like how to get the most out of it. And then we try to like come up with some GMing like advice around, like kind of looking at this module, like what can we learn from it? What are some like topics that are inspired by it? And then we talk about those things. And I think the similarity between the two projects, even though Fear of a Black Dragon does have a kind of half the time kind of looks backwards. I think the difference is that, or the similarity is that Brindlewood Bay to some degree also looks backwards, because it takes a lot of its inspirations from older TV shows, from older books, from, I mean, just the characters themselves are from another generation, you know? So it does have like some of those like kind of like nostalgic elements to it. So I think that, and that's, they both reflect me as a person and what I put out in the world, you know?
Claro.
But having said that, Brindlewood Bay is a very modern system, even if its inspirations are a little bit vintage and retro sometimes. So.
Claro. Ahora, creo que es importante señalar que mientras más ves hacia el pasado, sí, no sé, pensar en segunda edición, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons y sistemas así, a veces es difícil como congeniar, sí, ponerte de acuerdo con los nuevos sistemas. Ya ves que usualmente los jugadores de Advanced no les gusta quinta edición, ¿sabes? Es como, no, es muy fácil, no tiene retos, ¿sabes? Pero al mismo tiempo, quinta edición siempre está volteando al pasado para traer como los nuevos hits, los nuevos blockbusters. En tu experiencia, ¿cuáles son las formas en las que Advance puede convivir con quinta y cómo quinta puede seguir sacando cosas de Advance en tu experiencia?
Maybe give me that one in English because I want to make sure I understand.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
It sounds like a complex question.
Yeah, sure it's kind of complex because we don't have an official answer for that.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the way that the former players of Advance can't enjoy fifth editions, and what's the way that the new generations of fifth edition can enjoy all the adventures from second edition, in your opinion?
Oh yeah, that's okay. That's what I thought you were saying. I want to make sure I had that right. You know, the thing is, I will confess I'm not super familiar with fifth edition. I'm not a fifth edition gamer. I've never played it. I know things about it though. And I know where a lot of the new generation of role players are coming from. I think when I look back at like second edition, which is the D&D edition that I actually started playing in the like 5th or 6th grade or something like that.
Yeah.
That was my D&D that I played mostly and is the one I've played the most. The way we were playing second edition was not very heavy on math. It was very, very what today we would call theater of the mind, right? You know, we would call it that.
Yeah.
And if we had Twitch streaming and podcasts, we would have done that because we were just like talking to each other. We were not like doing there was not a lot of like grid combat or figurines or anything like that, the way we played it, you know? And so at least from my memories, I think like the newer generation of players who are very, very, you know, I think they kind of look at role-playing games and they sort of want to meld it with technology and meld it with streaming and maybe don't want like a very seriously crunchy system. I think that those older systems are actually pretty adaptable to that, right? They're adaptable to that style of play. And I think that 2E especially it had some really fantastic settings, and it seems like 5e is getting those settings now, right? Like,
all right.
I think they just announced Spelljammer, right? Like, if I'm not mistaken. And like, I never thought there'd be another Spelljammer. I was like, that's not going to happen, right? And then here it is, you know. So yeah, but
absolutely. I mean, in that context, do you believe there's some kind of advantage for all the old players and vintage players over the 5th edition and other systems that are kind of contemporaries to our time, or there's like an even opportunity to everyone?
Yeah,
like right now.
Yeah, I don't, you know, I don't know. I mean, I think that so when we're doing Fear of a Black Dragon, one of the things that we run into a lot is we'll be doing these older modules, and these older modules, they are very, very they're usually very dense with information. They are usually not organized super well. They tend to be very crunchy and very, very hard to use in the modern era, right? And so one of the things that Tom and I do is the part of the reason why we're doing this show is because we believe that you shouldn't just throw that stuff out, right? Like just because it has like problems, you know, whether that be problems with the format or problems with the substance of what is written there, it doesn't mean that there's not something good there, right? And so, yeah, I do think that there's a lot of stuff to be gained from that sort of older way of playing, that older way of doing things. Having said that, when I'm playing, you know, I mostly run like lighter, more indie or story type games, right? That's kind of my personal preference. And I actually find that people who are completely brand new to the hobby actually have an easier time like getting into it than people who've been around for a long time, because people who've been around for a long time have like preconceived ideas of how they should play, right? And so I think the answer is both. It's yes and no.
Yes and no, and that's a very valid question. It's a very valid question because that's the time that we are living. We live in a very ambiguous times, and that's okay because we don't have like a straight answer for that. So okay, vamos a leer algunos comentarios de el chat. AKA 00, check out our El Rolecito table of Brindlewood Bay. We all played some versions of our grandmothers or great grandmothers. It got so intimately fun. Okay, that's very interesting. Sounds interesting. I said Fireball says it was an amazing experience. Thank you for making an amazing game.
You're very welcome.
And finally, we have a question from Cthulhu 17. How many times do you see Golden Girls?
Oh my goodness. I have seen every episode of the Golden Girls at least 4 times minimum.
My gosh, quite a number.
Yes,
bueno,
at least,
yo tengo una confesión que hacerte. Conozco Golden Girls, pero nunca he visto un episodio de Golden Girls.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. You should change that. you should fix that.
Va a aumentar mis expectativas de disfrutar Brindlewood Bay si veo Golden Girls.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think it matters too much. I mean, I do think you should watch Golden Girls though. So
¿Será acaso que Golden Girls fue el Grey's Anatomy de su generación?
I'm not familiar with Grey's Anatomy, so I don't know.
You never saw?
I've never seen it. Never seen Grey's Anatomy. No.
My gosh.
No.
Not even one of the 37 seasons.
I know it's been on for like 20 years. I've never seen it, not once. No.
I don't know, dude. Probably we're going to start to work on a RPG based on Grey's Anatomy.
You know, I'm surprised there hasn't been such a thing because, well, actually, no, that's not true. There is a Powered by the Apocalypse game out there called, I wish I could remember the name of it. I want to say maybe The Ward is what it's called, but it is a hospital drama role-playing game.
My gosh.
Yeah, I played it once. It's pretty good.
Let's cancel this program. Let's go to Google right now just to find.
I'm pretty sure it's called The Ward. Yeah. I know the author, but I can't remember the name of the game.
Gente, por favor, gente del chat, mientras está viendo este programa, vaya a Google y busque por favor ese programa para jugar en un hospital. Dios mío, tengo que estar ahí. Tengo que ser el Dr. Shepard. Esa es una de mis misiones de la vida. Tengo que volverme el Dr. Shepard.
It is The Ward by Magpie. Yep, that's right. Yeah.
My gosh, The Ward of Magpie Games.
Yeah, Magpie
Ahí
Games.
Lo tienen, gente.
Yeah, and I think it's just what it's called an ashcan, like it's a kind of a preview version. I don't think it's the full version of the game yet, but yeah, but it's playable. It's good. It's really good.
Okay, it's a thing. Está ahí afuera. Existe.
It is. Yeah, it exists.
Increíble. Basta. Amigos, debemos hacerlo. Jason, ¿existe alguna posibilidad de que Brindlewood Bay se pueda traducir a otros escenarios? Por ejemplo, jugar un Brindlewood Bay en México, por ejemplo?
I mean, you would definitely have to write. You would have to rewrite the mysteries because the mysteries assume that it's taking place in New England, right? Having said that, I know that there are already people who have done their own hacks of Brindlewood Bay for their own preferred like places, right? The German language RPG community 3W6, they had a whole like thing where they made a whole German Bavarian setting for Brindlewood Bay, which is pretty cool. I personally am I am desperate to get the license for 30 coins so that I can make a
my gosh, yeah.
I know, like I would love to have that license. That's set in Spain, but if I don't get the license to it, I could see a version of it like kind of set in Mexico where it uses the same rules. It may not be elderly women, but it might be just like characters from a little town or something,
right?
You know? But yeah, you could totally do it. You would just you'd have to change some things around, but you could absolutely do it. Yeah, it would be very easy.
Podríamos hacerlo. Me has robado completamente con 30 monedas porque soy un gran fan de Alex de la Iglesia.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, he's great. And he plays Call of Cthulhu. Did you know that?
Yeah, La Broma Macabra.
Yeah.
Para Call of Cthulhu, claro.
Oh, he wrote that. That's right. Yeah. He's really cool. Yeah, I hope he sees this because I want to write the game of 30 coins. I want to write that game so bad.
Let's do something. Let's write a tweet to Alex de la Iglesia right now.
Please do. Yes, do it.
En tiempo real. Gente,
it is not the first time he will have gotten such a tweet. He's gotten this tweet many times. No importa,
miren, esto es lo que vamos a hacer, gente. Desde mi cuenta de Twitter, voy a escribirle a Alex de la Iglesia, voy a taguear a Jason Córdova y le voy a pedir que nos pase los derechos de 30 monedas para hacer el RPG. Quiero, por favor, que todos ustedes le pongan favorite, por favor, que lo compartan, que lo retuiteen para ver qué pasa. Esta no es la primera vez que hacemos algo, tú, Jason. La última vez le escribimos a Thalía porque queríamos que nos hiciera la música para nuestra jugada de Metal Gear Solid.
Oh.
No lo logramos, pero lo hicimos. Y eso es lo que cuenta. Muy bien, gente, lo estoy haciendo justo ahora, en tiempo real. Ahí va. A ver. Lo estoy escribiendo. Alex de la Iglesia. Espera, ¿cómo era? Ah, sí, Alex de la Iglesia. Les voy a decir, ¿cómo se aparece Alex de la Iglesia en Twitter? Alex de la Iglesia. No. Va a ser, por favor, deja que Jason Córdova escriba la adaptación RPG de 30 monedas. Ahí está.
What do the kids say? Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot.
Está afuera, gente. Está afuera. Por favor, vayan. Está en mi cuenta justo ahora. También, también la cuenta de Reroll lo va a retuitear. Entonces, por favor, retuiteen para ver qué pasa.
The thing is,
sí, dime.
The mystery system that I use for the Between and Brindlewood Bay, the one that I wrote, would be perfect for 30 coins. It would be a perfect mystery system. It would absolutely, because it does like community and horror so well, you know. So I have this game fully formed in my mind, and I wish I could do it. So
okay, let's give it a shot. I mean,
but if I don't get it though, I'm probably going to just write a version that's set in Mexico anyway, so instead of Spain.
Pues bueno, ¿por qué no? We tried to find some Mexican or at least some Spanish-speaking mystery series and characters to play Brindlewood Bay with more local references, but it was so damn hard. Really?
I don't know any. I don't know any myself. I'd be curious what people found. I don't know.
Amigos, necesitamos resolver esto, por favor. Tenemos muchos misterios. Vivimos en México mágico. Esto es México mágico, gente. Nosotros inventamos el realismo mágico. Así que tenemos que hacer algo ahí. Tenemos que poner de nuestra parte. Vayan a apoyar el tweet, por favor. Hashtag Hashtag 30 monedas. Háganlo, por favor, gente. Tenemos el sistema perfecto y lo escribió Jason. Muy bien. Lexunam dice, play Brindlewood Bay. ¿A qué te refieres? ¿A que si Jason lo juega? Él lo escribió. Supongo que sí. Bueno, no sé, Jason, ¿sigues jugando tu Brindlewood o ya estás como en una situación donde ya no quieres jugar tu propio juego?
I don't play any games. I only run games. So I only GM them.
Really? My
I don't play games. I have not played. So, okay. I have not played a game in probably 5 years. Easy. But I run games all the time. I run games 4 times a week, and I've run Brindlewood Bay a million times.
But I mean, it's just coincidence, or it was like a personal effort. I'm not going to play.
No, I don't like it. I prefer to be the GM.
Okay. We need to dig we need to dig a little bit on this.
Okay,
I mean, why, dude? I mean,
no. I mean, I know other people love it, and I'm glad. But you know, have you ever heard the term the forever DM? You know, like you're the person who's always the DM or the GM. I am, yeah, sure. and I like it. That's what I prefer. I don't know. I just really like. I think I get into the sort of. I like I just like facilitating the story. You know, I like asking questions to the players and sort of guiding the spotlight and getting people to interact with each other and collaborate on the story. I just like being the person who does that. And I don't like to just be one character. I like to be lots of characters. So it's just a preference. Yeah, it's just a preference.
I mean, I'm not judging. I'm just trying to understand, you know, because sure, it was like kind of weird for me. I mean, for example, sometimes I really enjoy being the GM because there's some kind of stories or some kind of IPs or some kind of whatever that I would like to make my own story just for my personal entertainment and for the joy of the table. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, and what should feel identified with that. But on the other hand, sometimes I really enjoy being in character. I mean, and enjoy other people's stories because I think I get it, because there's son dos formas muy distintas de disfrutar la jugada. Yo como narrador es muy distinto a yo como jugador. Entonces, en ese sentido, en tu caso, tú dices, yo prefiero contar la historia.
I do,
porque me gustan tener muchos.
I will say though, I think it has a lot to do with the types of games I play, right? Like the types of games I play and the types of games I create now, they are the kinds of games where we actually sort of where it's really not so much about embodying a character as it is sort of, we're more like the writers in a writer's room telling a story about the characters. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You know, and
I'm a professional writer. I write for living. I work for television, so I do understand that.
Yeah. So the idea of like embodying a character is just not. It's kind of like not how I play anyway, and so that does not like necessarily have an immediate appeal to me.
Absolutely.
And so there's probably like some sort of weird control freak issue where I just want to be the person in charge of guiding the story or whatever. But like, but no, I just think
because the micromanagement on the DM is real. It's a real.
Yeah. I just like to be the facilitator. I like to just be that person. And you know, I always have been since I was a little kid, like since the 4th grade when I was running Marvel superheroes for my friends. Like I've just always been the GM or the DM. So yeah, just what I like to do. So, yeah.
Okay, let's try a little something. Why if let's improvise a scene. You are the GM of any system of your election, of your preference. I will be the player.
Okay.
So just give me a scene and I will try to improvise with that.
Sure. So, well, let's play Brindlewood Bay.
Absolutely.
So first of all, I want to know something about your character. Tell me 3 things about your character.
Well, my name is Jeremiah Collins. I have 72 years old. And let me tell you something. I really enjoy a good beer, a good women, and a good story.
Okay. How about this? You're going to play an elderly woman solving murder mysteries in a quaint New England town. Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
my name is Mercedes Collins.
Okay, good.
I really, really enjoy couture and a nice hot cup of tea, and of course, a very beautiful love story.
How did your partner, what did your partner do when they were alive?
My dearest Timothy Chalamet. He was an actor, you know. Oh, I miss him a lot.
Good. And yeah, so shall we do a scene now?
I'm ready.
How far are we going? Okay, good.
I'm born ready.
Okay, so you have just learned that the body of a banker named Albert Krauss was found in the bay. And because Brindlewood Bay does not have a morgue, they are currently keeping the body in the fish market cold storage in between the cod and the haddock. You are there at the
cross.
No, you are at the fish market. Tell me what you love about the fish market or why you hate coming down here.
I just love the fish market because of the price. I mean, it's the best price in all the New England region, but now it's completely ruined because there's a dead man. Oh, poor Mr. Cross.
So one of the fishmongers, Etienne Beauregard, you're a regular customer, it sounds like. He calls out to you. It was Mercedes. What was your last name, Mercedes?
Collins.
He says, Mrs. Collins, are you here to pick up another flounder? And he's like, he tosses a fish over to someone, and this is kind of one of those places where the fishmongers like are entertaining the customers, right? It's a touristy place. What do you say?
Honestly, I don't know how to answer to that because poor Mr. Krause, I don't know if he's already dead or just waiting for a second coming of our Lord Jesus Christ.
And the fishmonger, his name is Etienne, he'll say, well, I guess we'll have to wait for 3 days and find out, won't we? We'll know for sure.
Sometimes 3 days sounds like an eternity, you know what I mean? Especially when you're a widow.
And at that point, you would go to the back, and you could try to get in there and take a look at the body and do whatever you needed to do to figure out what happened to poor Mr. Krause. But that is the introductory scenario. That's the basic scenario. The starting scenario of Brindlewood Bay is this
¿Qué te digo? Yo lo disfruté bastante. Ya quiero, es más, esto sería una aventura que yo quisiera jugar justo ahora. ¿Saben? ¿Qué me dicen? Por favor, pónganlo en el chat. Pregunta, hagamos algo, chat. ¿Les gustaría tener una mesa de Brindlewood Bay en nuestro canal de Twitch, narrado por Jason Córdova? Si es así, por favor, pónganlo en el chat y vamos a buscar la manera de hacerlo posible. Jason, would you like to have a special broadcast streaming on our Twitch channel playing Brindlewood Bay?
If I get to run it, yes.
Absolutely, you should run it. only if I'm on the party. Only
if I have to be a player, no. If I have to run it, yes. If I get to run it, yes.
Oh my gosh, estoy completamente adentro, ya lo saben. Pues miren, el chat lo está diciendo, sí, por supuesto que sí. Bienvenido Jason Córdova, sí, con mucha violencia de abuelita, sí. Ahí lo tienen, gente, ahí lo tienen. Es que, déjame decirte algo, Jason, creo que el elemento de folk, horror, mystery, suspense que tiene New England se lleva muy bien. La cosa es esta, ¿tienes algún proceso creativo al momento de desarrollar tu escritura? o cómo fue llegando esa parte? Porque mucha gente ponemos atención en el sistema, pero no en la historia.
Yeah.
¿Cuál fue tu proceso?
Well, so the thing is because the way the game works, the game has actually a fairly, I would say, a skeletal lore to it, right? There is not a lot of like highly detailed like lore about the setting, because you're going to create that at the table, right? Like that's what you're going to do when you sit down to play. You're going to fill in a lot of those details. And so my job is really not so much to detail a setting as it is to create a structure by which players are invited to help create that setting, right? And so I focus more on questions that help draw those answers out, right? And focusing on just big thematic descriptive moments that may not have any particular like narrative through line, but they're just there to be inserted wherever the keeper thinks that they should be, right?
Right.
So I think more about theme. I think more about big ideas, and more that, as opposed to like, here is a story from A to Z, or here's all the elements of this lore and this setting. We're going to be adding a little bit more of that stuff in the Kickstarter because the books are bigger and they have more space, and we'll do more of that. But it's always going to be kind of a non-canonical setting. Like, we really want you to be inspired to create your version of Brindlewood Bay, right? And I think that's how I approach this. I mean, I approach RPG writing as only like half creative writing, or half like lore and history and setting, and the other half is really truly like just ways of inviting the play group in to create. Does that make sense? I don't know if that answers the question.
Absolutely.
But
You're preaching right now, brother. I mean, it's amazing. I really like it. Dice Music Geek, dice no, olvídalo, perdón. No, ese era un comentario para mí. Muchas gracias, Músico Geek. Dice, I said Fireball, estoy fangirleando, bien intenso, jajaja. Dice Lexunam, yo no estoy estornudando en medio del fangirleo. Así es, amigo. Así es, amigo. Muchas gracias por su apoyo, gente. Pero no lo olviden, somos un equipo con una misión. Justo ahora tenemos ese tweet, en Twitter, que estamos tratando de hacer que Alex de la Iglesia permita a Jason Córdova hacer la aventura para RPG de 30 monedas. Qué gran serie, qué gran serie. ¿La viste en español? ¿La viste en inglés? ¿Cómo la viste tú, Jason? La de 30 monedas.
I would write, I mean, are you asking like, would I do it in English or Spanish? Or
yeah.
I would do it in English, but I would probably work with Hills Press, who's located in Spain, to get that Spanish translation done really, really fast, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah, I think they'd have to be at the same time. It would be very weird for it not to come out
claro,
in Spanish.
Ahora, para los que no sepan, estábamos hablando fuera de cámara que tú tienes un trasfondo europeo. Tú estuviste viviendo un tiempo en Italia, ¿cierto?
I did, yeah. Yeah, for like 3 years, yeah.
Ok, ¿y tú hablaste en algún momento perfecto italiano?
Yes, like 30 years ago.
Right. Muy bien. Entonces, a lo mejor, y podrías hacer una extensión de 30 monedas de España a Roma, ¿sabes?
Oh, okay.
Para el universo expandido.
Yeah, well,
no lo sé, piénsalo.
I mean, the show does go to Rome for a time, so it's not
Así es.
It's not completely out of the, so yeah, I mean, but I want to make that game though. I really do. I want to make that game. And if we got that license, we would develop it in English and Spanish simultaneously. I think so. I have to imagine,
I'm totally down for that. Now, my next question for you, Jason, is what's the future for you? I mean, right now, you're totally focused on your podcast and on your project, your Kickstarter project, but what else? Are you doing a different thing? There's something that you can share with us? I don't know. Feel free.
Yeah. So I will tell you that I'll give you an exclusive. How does that sound?
Great. I love exclusives.
Do you like exclusives? Good.
I love exclusives.
So we have our game, The Between, and that'll probably be coming to Kickstarter sometime next year. And I think everybody expects that. So there's nothing surprising about that. Yeah. I will say, though, that right now, one of my writing partners, Gabriel Robinson, and I, we are working on the official role-playing game for it's a smaller but still pretty popular audio horror podcast called The Silt Verses. I don't know if you know The Silt Verses, but
okay.
It is something we're working on. It's probably not going to be ready for a little bit yet, but we are very excited to get a preview version of that out, hopefully later this year. So yeah, it's called The Silt Verses. Yeah. And we're if your audience has not tried The Silt Verses and listened to it, it's a wonderful program. It's so good. It's in English, but it's scary. It has a lot of these like folk horror elements that we're very fond of. It has a lot of just very like there's a lot of intensity, a lot of drama and emotion, and a lot of strange like Lovecraftian weirdness. And if you like programs about like old forgotten gods and destitute religions and people who are just trying to scrape by while also serving their old malignant god, it is such a great program. And Gabriel and I are working on a role-playing game version of it, and we're really excited about it. So I think that's probably going to take up a lot of my time over the next 6 months or so. But I hope people will try it out once we get ready to show it. So yeah.
I mean, sounds amazing. Please sign me up for that one.
Yeah.
It looks great. I mean, with that voice and that narrative, people, I mean, it wasn't just great. I mean, remember, like if you like to play with old gods, all Lovecraftian god, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so down for that. Yeah, I mean, that's my jam. That's my kind of game. So
go listen to the podcast though. It's really good, and I hope that we're still in the early stages of creating the game, but I can't wait till we can show it like to people, because I think it's going to be really special. It's going to be really cool. So
it sounds really special. Yeah. So right now, the main idea that we have of Jason Córdova is like Golden Girls with Lovecraftian gods, right, with New England. I mean, that's pretty much it. Or there's any other flavored topic that would you like to discuss as your personal ingredient?
Well, so I mean, I will confess, I'm a loser who just plays role-playing games and I have no other social life. So that is. So it doesn't get too much more complicated, but
I mean, it's not like a big confess, but I mean, it's kind of brave. I mean,
I think so.
You're brave.
I'm brave for saying it. I know. Someone had to. I'm an attorney. I don't practice anymore. My job is role-playing games now, but I used to be a practicing attorney, and I worked in the prison system to try to make the prison system more fair to people, because it's a very horrible system, in the States at least. And so that was what I did, was prison reform. I was also a civil rights attorney as well. Those were my practice areas when I was in practice. I live in Texas, and I've lived in Texas for a long time. And
I mean, this is getting better and better.
I don't know how much to say.
I mean, it's very exciting. I mean, probably the next thing that you're going to tell me is like, oh yeah, and I'm a space bounty hunter or something like that.
Well, I wish it was something so exciting. I will tell you this though. Okay, so this is a fun fact about me. In the United States, you are allowed to record your stops with, like, if a police officer stops you.
Yeah, right.
You're allowed to record them with your phone. And the reason why you're allowed to do that is because of some research I did. Some research I did for a case that we won the case in the circuit court that says you're allowed to film the cops, and so I am proud of that. It is my one. I mean, my one legal thing I have.
I mean, you're a hero. You're a YouTube hero. I mean, do you have any idea how much time did I invest on YouTube seeing that kind of videos?
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Before, because what cops would do before is they would not let you record, or they would like take your phone, or they, and so they would get
because you're in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's no witnesses,
and they would get away with stuff, right? And so
absolutely.
So for years we fought that, and I was involved. I was on that case, and I was one of many lawyers. To be fair, many lawyers working on it, but I was one of them, and I'm very happy that we were able to get a good, favorable ruling there that applies to most of the country.
I'm happy because you did that. And because it's a huge thing.
It felt like it at the time. It felt like we were doing something important. So
it's really important. I mean, not only because it's the right thing to do, but at least it's very entertaining to watch that kind of videos on YouTube. I mean, it's very, very entertaining.
Sometimes for the wrong reasons, but yeah, fair enough.
Guilty, bro. I mean, guilty. That's my thing. That's one of my poisons. Okay, Jason, this is amazing, but we are running out of time. So last but not least, let's give a very quick review of your social media, where the people can find your projects, if the people want to find everything or anything of Brindlewood Bay. What's the link? What's the proper link, the proper channel for them?
Well, so first of all, please go back Brindlewood Bay on Kickstarter. It is on Kickstarter until May 30th. And if you just go to Kickstarter and search Brindlewood Bay, it should come right up. I am on Twitter at Jason Córdova 6. And you can also follow everything we do. I'm a part of a group called the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet is our sort of umbrella organization. That is at Gauntlet RPG. And just a website, gauntlet-rpg.com, that has everything we're doing, podcasts and games and everything. So.
Ahí lo tienen, amigos. Así que si quieren apoyar, por favor, vayan a la página de Kickstarter, por favor, busquen Brindlewood Bay y por favor, apóyenlo. Sencillamente porque es un gran juego. Miren a este tipo, Jason Córdova, gran carisma, gran voz. ¿Por qué no apoyarlo? Y además, es razón suficiente. Recuerden, todas esas horas que ustedes pasaron en YouTube viendo arrestos policiales en medio de la carretera, son gracias a Jason. Hagámoslo, por favor. Regresémosle un poco el favor. Y no olviden suscribirse a nuestros canales de YouTube y a nuestro canal de Twitch aquí en Reroll para poder estar al tanto de todos nuestros programas. Gran anuncio, amigos, el día de mañana martes. Híjole, no sé si alguno de ustedes esté viviendo abajo de una piedra y no se haya dado cuenta, pero mañana es el regreso triunfal de la siguiente temporada de She is the Ancient. She is the Ancient con Master Pita Cruz y una increíble mesa jugando el módulo Gender Bend de Curse of the Strat llamado She is the Ancient. Comienza la siguiente temporada el día de mañana. Por favor, denle una gran oportunidad. Seguimos con los Northsiders todos los miércoles y el domingo tenemos la segunda y última sesión de los Godsworns. Así que ya saben, amigos, martes tenemos She is the Ancient, miércoles tenemos los Northsiders y el domingo vamos a tener la última sesión de los Godsworns. Así que ya lo saben. Recuerden, no se vayan de esta transmisión sin ir a mi Twitter y darle un favorite y un share, un retweet a el tweet de Alex de la Iglesia para que hagamos lo de 30 monedas posible. Yo lo voy a tomar como una cruzada personal, que eso suceda. ¿Por qué no? Hagámoslo. Pero por lo pronto, eso es todo por el día de hoy. Estuve con Jason Córdova. Yo soy Homero Ríos. Esto fue In the Mind of We Are Off. Adiós, gente.